Alright guys, so just to correspond with the new event coming out, the part 2 of Stardust Memory, they taught us, they tossed one brand new banner. So at this point in time, a lot of people are probably out of diamonds, if not have diamonds, but deciding whether or not to summon on a banner if they're releasing one. Well, what do we do in this situation? In my honest opinion, I would definitely say the Dendrobium, the GPO3 Dendrobium, and then the New Zeal. I'm gonna be frank with you guys. I think they are going to be a fairly hot skip, given the fact that they're both a unit that are 2x2 situation, and the fact that they're pretty limited in terms of their attacks, where they can be applicable to, and just their ability. I don't think is really worth summoning for, but they actually did toss up a curveball. They actually brought back a prior limited time banner unit. So I think moving forward, this is kind of like the play that they're going to be doing it. So let's say for example, Strike Freedom, they will probably re-release it if they're releasing, let's say, Infinite Justice, Destiny, and whatnot. But I'll probably cover that in like a separate video. Just gonna be me just flapping my gums, just gonna be rambling on. But I just want to focus on the review for this one, and then we'll kind of talk about that in like a separate video. But all right, we have let's talk about the Battleship first. So let's talk about how many featured unit we have. We actually have one new SSR as well, so it is a new ZO2, so we have that. But other than that, let's take a look at the GPO3 Dendrobium. This is actually our second limited time durability unit, and this one does actually come with a bit of a surprise. There's actually something called the escape function, which when this unit dies, it will actually transform into this little guy right here. So it is actually detaches, so it's actually pretty cool. So this actually does give them like a good excuse to make Meteor Freedom UR and Meteor Justice UR sometimes in the near future. Same thing for, let's say, XCL or Dynamis in the GN Arms Type D and E respectively. So that is actually a pretty cool concept. So I would definitely give them a big compliment, because I wouldn't be expecting some new mechanics like that. But this is our first, and I wouldn't say it's the first best example, but it's still refreshing to see they continue to drop something new. So I'll definitely give them that. Props to them 100%. But essentially, this unit, I would say, in terms of the stat line for the HP, is 5th on the roster, and the defense is somewhere around 6th in the roster if you go filter it by HP first or vice versa. I will definitely give you guys some screenshot of that as well. I take a look at it early in the stream, but I kind of forgot their placement, so the screenshot will definitely give you guys a more accurate reading of where they are. Obviously, the wiki doesn't have these unit yet as the recording of this right now, but give or take is not actually that bad. Like, especially the Dendrobium itself is not terrible. The most terrible thing is definitely the applicable terrain, space, and atmospheric, and these are kind of non-existing in a way. You still have 5 movement, which is actually still pretty nice, but any other than that, the terrain for this unit sucks. Tag on this one, we have UC, Gundam, Protagonist, Mobile Armor, Test Type, Air Federation, and Unstoppable. Like, this one is a real team, obviously, but I mean, like, the applicable units, it's questionable. I wouldn't call this one like the real best team out there yet. So this one is still, it needs some time to cook. Protagonist, I mean, a lot of beauty in there, but there really isn't like there is that one eternal role, but you don't really need this unit to do good in there, so not really necessary. Unstoppable, I feel like we don't need any defensive option for the time being because we already have the F91 and the 4 Armor Double Zeta. I think they do a pretty decent job at what they're doing right now. So yeah, I feel like GPO3 definitely came in at a bad timing, but what can we actually say, right? Nothing we can do. 2x2, escape function or the mechanism, so we have that. Weapons are actually not that bad. The detonation core isn't like the strongest, but I think as far as the map attack wise is pretty interesting. I think this might be another unit similar to like Master Gundam or Phoenix Gundam, where the map attack allow you to fly by them. So it may be good in a situation where you need to get into like a certain area to beat the mission. But again, this is a unit that is 2x2, so I don't know how this might affect it. Would it work the same way? We don't know yet. Until like a new version comes out where we can try that out, I don't know if this unit will be like the one to go for anyway. So not anything remotely good for the detonation core, but whatever. Not even high enough stats for the power wise. Not that great in my honest opinion. So we have that. Large beam saber is gonna be a 1 to 2. Power wise, it's kind of where you'd be expecting it. Micro missile 4800, 2 or 3 to 4 range. It's kind of whatever. These two are good. The Mega Beam Cannon EX is a 35% damage or attack down on the enemy. It's kind of whatever. 6360 on the power. I think I don't really usually take a look at the power wise, like as far as like durability unit, but I think it's just right in between where you need it to be. That's not really the main thing we need to take a look at, but this is actually pretty good. We have the Mega Beam Cannon. It's a 3 to 5 range, and you have a decreased beam weapon power by 25% as well. So if you combine both of them, if a unit does a beam attack, well, this is gonna decrease that by a lot. If you can land both of them, that's gonna be pretty hot. But that's pretty good. So you can definitely preemptively get this up and going, because if you can hit from a 4 distance and you can still support defense, I mean, that is actually really nice. So not bad on this one, actually, not bad at all. The abilities, we have increased defense by 15%, increased health by 5%, and we have an eye field level 3 as well, so it's going to take less damage from a ranged weapon, so pretty good. But the only thing the unit is not getting is like I think there's a mechanism where when you block or support blocking, you take 20% less damage. This unit doesn't have that. If it does have that in combination with this one, you would have been at a solid damage reduction threshold. But I mean, 15% is still nothing to be talking down to. I believe so, but I wish it could be a little bit higher in a way. So let's take a look at Koaragi. Let's kind of see what it's doing. 2 support defense, so looking pretty solid so far. Stat line on Koaragi wise in terms of defense right now is actually the second highest, coming in after Reedy Martinez, so it's actually pretty good. But as far as like the character ability wise, it's definitely not as crazy as what Reedy is doing with like the sway, steal the force guard and whatnot. This one doesn't go with that approach. It gives you some elements of it. Force guard 25%, pretty good. Save energy, I don't know why we need that. I don't know, really don't know why we need that. Yeah, so that was kind of like a why moment to me. But anyways, we also have a high speed as well, so I feel like the high speed is more that used at a terrain where it's not really appropriate, where you still have the high speed to move around. So but that's not really good enough for like a defensive pilot wise, so kind of a letdown in terms of the skills department. Ability wise, we have this right there, so increase on defense by 25%, extra defensive stat right there. And excuse me, whoa, this is good. Wait a minute, so this is taking a page off from, what is it, the Unicorn Awakening, where this is the inverse. You can actually debuff the enemy a little bit more. So okay, so can we go back to this real quick? So respectively speaking, this would be at 40% and this one will be at a 30%. Wow, that's actually pretty nice. Okay. That is actually really good. But should you still summon for it regardless of it? I wouldn't think so. I really wouldn't. Even though it looks pretty enticing, I don't think there's any environment where we really need that much of a attack debuff for in any situation. So I feel like it's a skip in my part. Maybe you guys really like that effect, but I think it's a hot skip. I really do think so. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I feel like I might take that back in like a few weeks from now, but as of right now, I really don't think like the GPO3 and the overall setup is like worth really summoning for. So we have that. You know what? I forgot to take a look at the Purge version, so it's nothing too crazy. We have the Folding Bazooka, which is an attack down, so it would be a 30%. It'll be a rifle, a mobility down, so this one is not really gonna be affected. This one will, right? So 30%, kind of low, even after that. So we have that, but I mean, that is kind of crazy, man. They went with the same playbook from the Unicorn Awakening. Kind of crazy, not gonna lie. So we have New Zeal. So I take a look at the base stats without anything else. It looks pretty mediocre. I think right now the base stats, I think it's like roughly about, definitely not within the top 10. I would say it's roughly about the top 15, which is actually pretty terrible. Attack wise, it's roughly about the same, but you have Mono Eyes and Rivals and Xeon, so you do have some pretty respectable team setup for this unit specifically, so it's not the worst. The terrain again sucks. I don't think I need to mention that. We do have the Mega Cannon. So Mega Cannon is just gonna be the same thing as like the Freedom Full Burst, so pretty similar to that. Large Beam Saber. We have a wire. Wire Claw Arm, which actually have a critical damage increase on that one. Pretty low stat, unfortunately, so I don't think it's gonna be worth playing it. All right. We do have the deflection type Mega Portal Cannon. This one is actually does have a little bit of a higher power to it, so pretty nice. And we have the Mega Cannon EX at a 61-20 attack ratio. Oh, brother, that seems a little bit low. Really do feel like that is a little bit lower. Maybe 65 to above would be better, but that sucks. Not gonna lie, that is actually pretty terrible. What do we do? What can we actually do? Like, with this, should it actually mix things up for us? Let's see. Increase attack by 15%. I feel again. So okay. What? Oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wow. Okay. This is actually pretty good. So that's why the space stat is that low. It's only 13,000 rather than another extra 15%, because this doesn't really trigger until you're in the battle, right? Or unless you know you're facing someone that is like Earth Federation, then you have that. Okay, that's not bad. So if you include that, we should be somewhere around the 14k. So this will push this unit being the highest DPS in the game, if this is applied. Okay, it's not bad. Defense will be a little bit better, somewhere around like 10,000, but not 11,000. I feel like 10,000 probably. Okay, that's pretty solid. I'm convinced. Like the side banner unit is always better, for whatever reason. All right, let's kind of take a look at Gato. Gato range, I did check. It is the highest in the game so far, coming in at 861. I think the second highest range is like 700 something. But the real reason why is that high, because if you take a look at the Awakening stat, that is actually really low. So that's the reason. And only one chance stat, very unfortunate. But let's take a look at these skills. What are we working with? Range boost. Okay. high speed and sway. I like that combo. I do actually like that. So I'm actually kind of sold. I wish that this was like a level 5 or whatever, but I get it. It's a off-banner unit, so it's whatever. Sway is good. We like a sway from here and there, so it's not bad. Increased damage though, level 3, 15%, extra range, and haha. Take a look at that. So this is another playbook from the full armor double Zeta, where it's actually stacking defense. This one is no. There's another unit. Quibbly. Quibbly has the same thing, but this time is actually Xeon. So Xeon, you guys are eating good. We have, let me filter by URs. So URs, we have a few different options. We have this guy, Xeon. Short Cycle 2 from the Origin. Psycho Gundam. And obviously yourself. So you can definitely make yourself a pretty decent squad with that. The only problem with this team, there's actually not a real defensive unit in play, at least for a UR status. For defensive wise, you have a lot of these you can play around with, like the SSR wise, but it's not hard to make a full Xeon team. And with that in play, the base stat on New Zeo is gonna get much more higher. So yeah, I mean the side banner unit is looking very promising, while the actual limited time banner unit is a little bit questionable. I'll leave it at that. But take a look at the battleship. The battleship is a Sema. Alright, she's kind of like the headlining for this for the battleship right here. So she is actually a test type support and the Stardust Memory. Okay, so just the standard up to 36%, starting out at 25%, and it's a HP restoration. So we have that. If we take a look at this one right here, this one is actually the HP variation. So test type right now is completely done. So the team definitely needs a lot more work to it. But I mean overall, the test type team now have a HP and a energy restoration, so it covered both areas. So that definitely works really nice. For Neue Ziel 2, it's actually HP wise not that high. Defense is mediocre at best. This may be good. Up to 40%, up to 80% if you're talking about beam and anything, or sorry, 60%, anything that attacks from a force base or more. So, but at least you still have a base 10% or 40% right there. So you do have that. But other than that, this is good. 2 to 5 range, right? And there you have a 2 to 4, which is still a 25%. So it's not bad of a debuffer actually, because you're covering both physical and the beam weaponry. So pretty good. Not bad at all. But there you guys go. So this is kind of like the upside banner that they're tossing out, but it's still a limited time banner unit. So what can we actually say? I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know. But me personally, I'm not going to be summoning because I will wait for the other, probably like a late October, just to see if they're going to be dropping anything else. Definitely will. But other than that, that's going to be pretty much it for me, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one.